Trump is fighting back against the fake news marxist media. He's suing the New York Times for libel, putting fake news on notice once and for all that their days of media dominance is over. We're going to take a look at the lawsuit and how it's part of a larger trend among conservatives who are taking fake news to court and hitting the Marxist media where it hurts, right in their pocketbooks. You're going to absolutely love it. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here. It's great to be with you as always. If this is your first time here, I post 2 videos a day analyzing current events in light of super awesome conservative trends so you can live in the present in light of even better things to come. So if you haven't already done so, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. It'd be an absolute privilege to have you as a regular part of this channel where we together every day get to celebrate the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism and the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. Before we get into Trump's taking the New York Times to court, make sure to download your free gift that I put together just for you. We're calling it our fake news antidote. Boy, does that ever need in light of this video. It's a compilation of about 20 sites that I go to for my news every day, and you can download it completely free at the link down below in the pinned comments section. I think you're going to really love it. It was a joy to put together for you. And finally, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that's the makers of this beautiful Fighter Flare flashlight. Now, you know, with the recent breakout of the coronavirus, we're all reminded daily on how easy things can turn from bad to worse. Unfortunately, the sad part in all this is about 99% of Americans are frankly unprepared for a catastrophic event. But that doesn't have to be you. And one of the best things you can invest in for your protection when the lights go out is this 6-in-1 Fighter Flare flashlight. It's a 6-in-1 beauty that comes with a 3000 mAh solar-powered recharging battery equipped with a high and low beam light that you can see miles away. It has an emergency strobe light, a compass, a wire and rope cutter, an emergency glass breaker hammer, and a high-powered military-grade magnet. It's absolutely amazing. And best of all, as a Turley talker, you get 15% off the new 2020 model before they sell out. But supply is limited, so don't wait. Click on that link below and get your super awesome Fighter Flare flashlight today. All right, so let's dive right in here. President Trump is taking the fight against the fake news media directly to them. It's been announced that Trump's campaign has officially filed a libel suit for millions of dollars against the New York Times over their fake news Russia article from 2019. The original article was published in March of that year, and it was titled "The Real Trump-Russia Quid Pro Quo," and it claimed that the Trump campaign had what the author called an overarching deal with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Trump, they claimed, had agreed to a new pro-Russian foreign policy in exchange for Russian help in defeating Hillary Clinton. So the quid involved Russia helping to defeat Clinton, while the quo was Trump's new supposed pro-Russia foreign policy. The lawsuit states that the Times had absolutely no proof, nothing, nada, that any such quid pro quo deal had been made between Trump and Russia. Fox News originally broke the story that there was zero evidence supporting the claims of the New York Times' unverified sources, and thus the sole motive of the New York Times was it was a hit piece. It was to damage President Trump's chances at re-election 2020. Now, CNBC and a number of other news sources are calling the original piece in the New York Times an opinion piece, which is a term that they use to excuse themselves, to render themselves immune from criticism and indeed immune from the law court when they publish blatantly fake news. Trump isn't having any of that. And he made it clear in his news conference the other day. The piece by the Times accused Trump of engaging in illegal activities that have thus far been found never to have taken place. These are fraudulently inaccurate, and they're emphatically simply not, it's not an editorial piece. It's a hit piece that lied about what the president supposedly did. The New York Times has yet to retract it, and so they're now going to get sued for printing lies about President Trump that could have inordinately negative effects on his campaign. Now, I think it's ultimately only helping his re-election chances for reasons we'll be getting into in just a moment. But in their lawsuit, The Trump campaign is requesting, in their words, compensatory damages in the millions of dollars. So we don't know how much is being demanded at the Times here in terms of financial, punishment, as it were. But given the Donald, I'm sure we're dealing with the area of hundreds of millions of dollars. He definitely wants to make an example of the New York Times. So what's really going on here? What sense should we make of all this sort of big picture? Well, I think we need look no further than what Brad Parscale tweeted out. Brad Parscale is Trump's campaign manager. He's doing an amazing job, by the way. They're raising record amounts of money. He tweeted out, "The fake news is on notice. With Trump's libel suit against the New York Times for publishing false information, that's the key. Fake news is now on notice." And that, my friends, is precisely what's so significant about this lawsuit. I do believe that President Trump is actually the first president to sue a major media outlet. I know Barry Goldwater sued Fact magazine for $1 million. They published an article questioning his mental stability to be president, and he partly blamed that article for his failed presidential bid back in 1964 when he lost. So while you certainly had candidates or losing candidates suing media outlets, I believe Trump is the first sitting president to sue something like the New York Times for libel. But the important point here is that he's not alone. You'll definitely want to check out our video on CNN having to settle the lawsuit with the family of Nick Sandmann, right? If you remember, Nick Sandmann was the 16-year-old from Covington Catholic School who CNN accused of racially harassing a Native American demonstrator at the March for Life in Washington, D.C. It turned out it was the other way around, as subsequent video emerged showing that Nick was minding his own business, and it was the Native American demonstrator who, by the way, turned out to be a far-left activist, who came up and began harassing him. So needless to say, Nick Sandmann and his family were further harassed by our paragons of virtue-signaling social justice warriors who basically called for his execution. His family was doxxed and vilified. CNN to this day has stories up online about how racially insensitive the students from Covington High School were. And so Nick Sandmann turned around and he sued them for $250 million with a B. And CNN folded. They backed down. They settled out of court for an undisclosed amount of money. But given that the lawsuit was for $250 million, we can be sure that Nick will not have to worry about money for the rest of his life. God bless him. And by the way, as we stand, Nick Sandmann has 3 more lawsuits pending, one with the Washington Post and the other with NBC, all totaling $800 million. So we're talking almost $1 billion here. But CNN settled, which was a clear sign that they believed that they could very well lose this one if it was brought to court. And I'm sure they would have, given how far their journalistic standards have fallen. I mean, with Jim Acosta, right, the accoster, it's pretty clear their journalistic standards have imploded. They don't exist. And again, Trump and Sandmann aren't alone. More and more people are beginning to sue the Marxist media for the fake news that they peddle on a daily basis. We did a video a couple of months back on Rachel Maddow, right? You will definitely want to check that one out. It's so good. It will make your day. Rachel Maddow is currently being sued for $10 million for defaming the conservative news outlet One America News. Maddow claimed on air that One America News was paid Russian propaganda, that they were working directly with the Russians to spew propaganda out to American voters. And do you know what her defense is in the face of this lawsuit? Her defense is you can't take her words literally. That's her defense. You can't take her words literally. Check out the video we did. You're going to love it. It's absolutely hilarious. You can't take her words seriously. Well, you didn't have to tell us that, did you? But the lawsuit against Rachel Maddow, it's just par for the course of the number of lawsuits out there where conservatives are rising up and suing left-wing fake news outlets. Former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin is suing the New York Times as well for defamation. You have White House official Kash Patel suing Politico for $25 million in a libel suit. You have Representative Devin Nunes slapping CNN with a $435 million defamation lawsuit. And now you have President Trump suing the New York Times. Do you see a trend going on here? And it's only going to get worse for the fake news Marxist media. And that's because studies going back 20 years all show that trust in the mainstream media has been steadily eroding for decades now. Everyone knows they're a bunch of left-wing lunatics. Everyone knows that CNN is staffed with left-wing activists disguised as journalists. Everyone now knows that. Conservatives are smelling blood, and they're ready, right along with President Trump, to take the Marxist media to court and make them pay, quite literally, for their very fake news. Now, before you go, you definitely want to check out the video that I just put up on Trump's soaring approval numbers, all the while Democrats are leaving the Democratic Party in droves. It's going to absolutely make your day. So make sure to click on the link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.